This episode is brought to you by Muntins Malts, a company that is passionate about providing premium malts to brewers worldwide. For over a century, Muntins has been a leading supplier of brewing and distilling malts, offering the finest British malted barley on the market. You can experience the difference Muntins offers by joining a recipe receiving tier of our Trub Club, because every kit that ships out now includes premium Muntins malt. You know, we've known the Muntins crew for a long time, and I can tell you, friend, you're going to love brewing with their grains. Ask your local supply shop to carry Muntins malts, or homebrewers can join our Trub Club at HomebrewHappyHour.com/club, be a part of the community, and come brew with us. Thank you, Muntins, for supporting our efforts and homebrewers worldwide. Today's show is brought to you by Hopsterette.com. Grown in the esteemed Yakima Valley on the Pewterball family farm, Hopsterette.com offers the widest variety of hops available online at incredibly competitive pricing. It's simple. They grow hops, they sell hops, and they ship hops straight from their family-owned farm to your doorstep. Producing the highest quality hops is Hopsterette.com's passion, and they're proud to be an independent grower in the craft beer industry. Go to Hopsterette.com right now and get what you need to make your brew day better. That's Hopsterette.com. Today's show is brought to you by Imperial Yeast. You hear us gushing over Imperial Yeast all the time, and that's because their yeast performs for us in every batch that we brew. Imperial Yeast is adored by commercial breweries and home brewers alike. Their pitch-right pouches are jam-packed with over 200 billion fresh yeast cells, guaranteed to deliver flawless, fast fermentations every time. Imperial Yeast strains are grown by a team of pro brewers and home brewers who live to help other brewers learn more and ferment better. Join any recipe receiving tier of our Trub Club and get a free upgrade to premium Imperial Yeast with every recipe kit that ships out to you. Learn more at HomebrewHappyHour.com/club and come brew with us.
Entertaining shows with content that spreads information and sparks discourse throughout the community. This is the Pearl Media Network.
Best ways to add flavors after primary fermentation, the effectiveness of brew clean in cold water, and how to use a soda carbonating cap on 2-liter bottles. This is Homebrew Happy Hour, episode 340. Well, hello, and welcome back to another episode. Oh, the volume's all over the place. Of the Homebrew Happy Hour. This is the show where we supply the answers to your homebrewing questions and discuss all things related to craft beer. If you have a question you'd like us to discuss on a future episode, go to HomebrewHappyHour.com. Click on that Submit a Question link at the top of the page. Or now you can call, leave a voicemail, feedback, or a question. Get yourself a $25 gift card to 325. Let me see if I got that. There it is on the screen. 325-305-6107. I'm one of your hosts, Joshua Stewing, joined as always by one of my co-hosts. He is the director of operations at cmbecker.com, Mr. James Carlson. James, my friend, how have you been?
Hey.
Yeah, I apologize. It was 2 weeks off, and then Todd took a third week off. He basically gave me the finger. I think he's in unison. Oh, there's like the UPS strike about to happen, the writer's strike, and now Todd is he's protesting. No, he's actually coming to San Marcos to work on a property. He has a rental, and college kids try to get rented by the school year, which is starting. Yeah. Starting very soon, actually. So he's trying to get it all ready by August 1st. And I do believe he actually got them rented already, didn't he?
Yeah, he's got both of them.
Isn't that wild? Like that.
Yeah.
He I think put it on Zillow, and it had, one of the properties had like 498 views over that weekend. And he had applications like within hours, and the internet's great. But anyways, Todd is out today. Again, he's not protesting, but he is working. Speaking of which, I wanted him on this week because I wanted to tell him he was gone Monday of this week, and I came up And James, I gotta admit, it's the most manual labor I've done all year.
I will say, guys out there listening, he worked his ass off.
I really did.
And he got that thing looking good. I was very impressed.
It was 2 days of manual labor this week. Monday was the kegs. And so I was like, oh, this is like the old days. I put a photo on our Instagram and someone commented, they said, if I remember correctly how Todd talks about how you used to be terrible at washing kegs, should I not order any this week? No, they're great. Order your keg. I had to get a bunch done because we had a big order in, and Todd took our main guy with him to San Marcos, and you were feeling like hell on Monday.
Yeah. You had to cover my slack. Monday.
Yeah. Well, thankfully the phone. I actually, I'm joking, not joking. I don't know what it is about me and answering the phones. I don't like it. I do it, but I don't like it. But when
nobody else does.
I know. Oh, I know. Right? Like I'm saying something profound. Like, no, James Carlson, you love answering the phone. Tell us more. Yeah. Nobody loves it. But yeah.
I've been doing that for 30 plus years, so it doesn't bother me at all.
Yeah. So, but when our other staff were like, yeah, you go do the kids and we'll take the phones, I was like, yeah, deal. But it was like 105. I was out there. All this to say, talking about strikes and all that. Todd, if you're listening, I've formed the Keg Washers Association of America for Keg Washing. And we're going on strike. We are my brothers in the KWA OAW or whatever the abbreviation will be. We are going on strike. No more kegs. No. They actually look good. I didn't realize the condition of the kegs we received even before cleaning. They're pretty good, dude. Like none of them. I thought in the old days they would have gunk, like, soda syrup all still in the bottom, pretty thick. Sometimes they'd have rodents in them. All of them, I had to call Todd and Vilver because I wasn't convinced they weren't already clean. Every one I was pulling out to wash, I was like, Dad, I was showing them on video calls, like, are these not clean? And Vilver's like, no, they need to be cleaned and pressure test. I was like, but look at the inside. He's like, no, that's just how we've been getting them. We've been getting really good kegs lately.
Yeah. Yeah. And we're one of the Keg Connection is one of the few companies that will sell you a clean keg.
Right. That we actually go through the process of doing it, not just dumped. Yeah. We have had people review our kegs on the site and call and tell us that's why they chose it at Keg Connection, because you can save, $5-8 with some other places, but they just dump the gunk out and that's it. They don't even rinse it.
Well, I totally understand that because there's a labor cost involved. They got to be the cheapest on the market. They're not going to be clean because I don't know how they can do that. But anyway,
I told Todd, not only was I really slow with washing kegs, but I was probably the most expensive employee of the day because it took me all day to do like 34 kegs. And,
is that what you end up doing? 34?
That is what I ended up doing. Was 34.
Awesome. That'll help.
Well, he asked Todd though. He's like, "Wait a second. You spent 5 hours doing kegs and you only got to 34. I'm not good at math, Josh." And I was like, "Let's just stop the conversation, Todd. Let's just stop." Anyways, though, we do have a great show lined up. We don't have voicemail feedback, but I did want to read feedback later from our HomebrewCon presentation. But before we get to the questions and the voicemails and all that stuff, let me go over some housekeeping things. We, the Trub Club this month, let me put it up on the screen. Is that it? Boom! Hey, delicious. It's actually James Carlson's recipe, the Dusseldorf Altstadt Alt Beer. We are brewing as a Trub Club. The grains, I'm told, James, are arriving tomorrow, Friday the 21st, or possibly Monday. They're not 100% sure, right, on the arrival date.
No, well, with my luck, they'll be here about 5:30 Friday night.
Oh, geez. Friday is a day most people are able to get out of the office around noon.
Yeah.
Yeah. Todd, when he ordered it, he was like, "Oh, they think it might come Friday." I go, "Just tell them Monday. Just tell them Monday."
There's no reason for it to sit in a hot warehouse all over, the weekend.
Yeah, there is not. But we, hopefully, fingers crossed that they come Monday. We do, people who are listening the last couple weeks know that we had a Weevil issue. So if you're in the Trub Club at the $50 level or the $35 level that was supposed to be at June's kit, they're all going out as soon as all these Weevil-free grains arrive. So we have all that's supposed to arrive Friday. I'm going back up this coming week for a day trip whenever the grains are there so I can ship out all those recipe kits.
Gosh, I hope they don't show up tomorrow.
I really don't see how they could because they didn't ship them yesterday. So you think it would take
Yeah.
a day for a pallet to get here? I know it's from Dallas.
Do you know he went through?
Pro Brew Supply use. I don't know who.
No, I mean the shipper.
Oh.
I'm assuming it's LTL, right?
Yes, it got to be a pallet, right? He got 40. Is it 40 or 44 sats that fit on a pallet? 40, right? I think it's 40. I think it's 40, 50,
I'm not sure.
5-pound bags that fit on a pallet. He maxed out a pallet. So yeah, I can't imagine it's shipping today. No way it gets there in a day for LTL.
Well, if you've got the shipping information, I can go in and I can check and track it.
Todd has it.
Yeah.
Now we could do a segment on the show called "Hacking into Todd's Email." I would love to add that to the show.
Yeah.
And it's not
He
even
didn't copy you on all that?
No, he never does. No, he forwarded me his order, and it's funny because he told me I was set up in his office like I do every week when I do set up my computer, and he was like, "Oh, I forgot to copy on the order. I'll forward it to you." But forwarding doesn't matter. Forwarding just shows me that I know you did the order, but they don't reply to a forward because it only went to me. But either way,
well, we normally use Saya for everybody out there. I'm sure they're probably wanting to know.
SAIA, yeah, Saya.
Yeah. But I'm looking right now at our dashboard and I don't see anything.
Maybe he's letting the supplier choose the shipping. I have no idea. I know he paid.
He would never do that. I wouldn't think, because he's always jumped on me for doing it.
He paid like $1.50 for it. It's a lot to ship. I mean, even though it's just from Dallas, it was.
No, if it's from Dallas, that's just one day.
Is it really? So if it ships today, it will arrive tomorrow.
Yep.
I'm sorry, my friend. I'm sorry. But anyway,
I'll just camp out here.
Yeah. Well, that means though, then probably I can come up Monday because again, boom, the Dusseldorf set off.
Well, no, the problem is the heat. So when they get here, I'm going to have to load them. I'm going to have to get them in the cooler. Because we don't want them sitting in the heat the whole weekend.
So for more context, part of the manual labor, guys, I did yesterday, Wednesday, I spent a good chunk of the day redoing our walk-in. So our walk-in used to be, when we were in the ingredients business, it was for all the hops and all the liquid yeast, and it was wall to wall to wall, jam-packed. Well, we're not in the ingredients business anymore, so I was able to consolidate all the hops that we use for kits and leftover hops from when we were in the biz, and the new yeast patch that we get for Trub Club from Imperial, all on one wall, and freed up, James, a good amount of space to where, yeah, you're right though. You got get the grains upstairs by I guess the forklift, and then move the 40 pads. Oh my, maybe. Oh no.
Yeah, because my back's not
your
been
back
the best.
is no. Oh, well, what if you just get it upstairs and leave it? We'll figure something out, man. Or you could leave it downstairs.
Nah, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to risk it.
I wonder if we can. Let me.
I'm gonna text him, see if he has tracking for the grain.
Yeah.
I guess he just really when he scheduled that, he wasn't thinking.
He wasn't thinking, but maybe we could use the temp service and get you.
No,
you don't think so? Oh, you're too manly. I'd be like, let's hire 2 guys because your back is killing you. But yes, if you go, so let me put that back on the screen. If you go to patreon.com/homebrew happy hour, join the recipe receiving tiers of our Chub Club, you'll get this delicious Dusseldorf Altstadt alt beer. Thanks to our sponsors at Munton's Malt, hopsdirect.com, and of course, Imperial Yeast for providing the most premium ingredients for us to get the most premium recipe kits out into y'all's hands. I'm excited because also the alt beer going out in July gives people plenty of time on the screen there. You can't see it, James, but October 19th through the 21st, tentative dates with the tentative name, the Alt Beer Challenge 2023 is going on. James, we are doing it. Kolsch Cup was such a success, and we've been mulling over the idea for a couple years of doing an alt beer competition, and we are doing it. We're doing the Alt Beer Challenge. I think we're coming up with a actual German name for this, but for right now, this week at least, we're calling it the Alt Beer Challenge. Registration will open up very soon. Keep an eye out through all the channels that we publish, Facebook. I don't think we're really on Twitter, Instagram and Facebook. I think I made a Threads account for this, but you don't do any social. You're not even doing the new stuff, right? Threads opened up because you don't do Facebook, so why would you do Threads?
Yeah, no. Yeah, I'm out.
I think I'm out. But if y'all are at home and you're not out, follow our social stuff. That's where you'll know. Because again, we're limiting registration like we did for Kolsch Cup. And I believe Todd does want to cap this again at 40. He discussed doing 50, but 40 seems to be the sweet spot for two groups of two judging beer in the first round, and then all of us doing the top 10 on the last day. So anyways, all that information can be found at homebrewhappyhour.com, or again, patreon.com/homebrew happy hour. Join the community. Come brew with us. It's a good time. Mr. Carlson, before we get into the questions, I did want to let me do this just because I like the MP3.
It's time for listener feedback.
It's not actually listener feedback, but we got the feedback, James, from our presentation at HomebrewCon, and I'm going to read the four.
Cool.
Yeah, so let me. Oh, do I have it here? Yeah, I do. People are rating. So on a scale of 1 to 5, everyone who inputted in, and we're talking. Let me see how many people input this in. It has a number here. Okay, so we had about 72 people leave rating. And on a scale of 1 to 5, rate the overall quality of the content presented. This seminar, 1 being the lowest and 5 being the highest. We averaged a 4.67. I don't think that's bad at all for that many reviews. That means it was mostly 4s and 5s. And then same amount of people on a scale of 1 to 5, please rate the quality of the speakers in this seminar, with, of course, 1 being the lowest and 5 being the highest. It doesn't show the number, but the average 4.73. People think our quality is high. They did leave some comments. Here's just a handful, so we don't go through them all. Very good class. The speakers were entertaining and very knowledgeable. Humorous and well-spoken group. Another guy said, this talk was very informative, very entertaining as well. Learned a lot about a complicated subject, and I look forward to serving my homebrew on a draft system in the near future. Another person wrote, well presented and very entertaining. And my favorite of the feedbacks that were constructive and flattering, but also critical. Great topic, great pictures, good adding the biggest troubleshooting issues. Josh was a bit chatty. That's my favorite. He's not wrong. Or he or she. Realistically, this isn't, to point this out, it's not sexist. Our audience was 98% male. But that's HomebrewCon. HomebrewCon was probably 80%. It was probably 80-20 split this year, right?
Yeah, I was going to say we had some listeners that attended that were in the audience. There were several female listeners that were absolutely wonderful to meet, incredible. And I was just blessed to get to know them. I couldn't have been any nicer. Everybody that listened to the show that showed up there was wonderful. On our recap episode, I know we covered it, but it's worth mentioning, like you said, we have the absolute best community, period, in the whole biz. And there's some crossover because we ran into a lot of people who are YouTubers or do podcasts, and a lot of it's a crossover. And I like that because everyone in the community, 99.9% of people in this community are so chill, very approachable, fun to hang out with, fun to drink with, all that good stuff. So yeah, HomebrewCon was a blast. We appreciate everyone who came to the seminar. And next year, they're combining it, James, with Great American Beer Festival. I don't know how you feel about it. I'm not quite sure. Todd didn't make it seem like he was that excited or that we'd go. I'm hoping if they give us a media pass, if they don't take us as speakers again, that we find ourselves there, because you've never been to Great American Beer Festival, have you? Never have.
Yeah.
Nope.
So if anything, it would be fun to experience that with you, because I've only been once, and it was probably one of the best festivals I've ever been to. Like, it was just a staggering amount of breweries represented, where I don't think you actually could literally taste test them all. I think you would get alcohol poisoning, if even in the 1 ounce increments. Yeah. I think you would die. But don't take my word for it. People out there probably have done that challenge, but yeah, I think you would die. But anyways, that is our listener feedback. We do have 3 questions for this week, starting with the first question. It is a voicemail. It's our buddy Zach from Michigan. Oh, why is my thing not charging? Hold on. Let me play it, and then I'll work on that. All right, Zach from Michigan.
Hey there, Triple H crew. This is Zach calling from Michigan. I've got a question about tinctures, using those in the brewing. I was looking at recipe that you guys had done before, the peanut butter cup stout, and I had forgotten to do the cocoa powder in the boil. So I went with the tincture, the vodka, and cacao nibs mixture. Instead of vodka, I ended up doing Everclear 151 because I had it laying around. But it got me thinking, is that the most efficient way to get flavoring into a beer post-fermentation? For instance, if I want to do something with, say, rhubarb or some other fruit, is that the best way to go about doing that? Or is it best to just throw fruit into the secondary? I mean, is it more efficient doing it with the tincture, the extract like that? Or what is the best way to get that flavor into a beer after fermentation? Let me know your thoughts. Thanks for everything, guys. Hope you guys had fun at HomebrewCon. Hopefully someday I can join you. See you later.
Absolutely.
Zach, thank you so much for the feedback. Yeah, I'm sorry y'all saw my back that whole time. My whole thing just collapsed, but we're good. Great voicemail. And before we answer the question, a reminder, not just about the gift card, guys, but I deleted again our archive of voicemails. Now, thankfully, we've been getting replenished, but leave voicemail comments, or leave voicemail questions, rather, and voicemail feedback for the future. I think I only have about 20 in reserve right now. And Chad, I want to get 2 per episode if possible. But anyway, great question from him. I don't believe we've talked about it, mostly because out of the 3 of us, there's not a whole lot of flavoring going on in our beers post fermentation. Yeah. When my pop and I do the breakfast stout, James, it's all mostly done, the boil, post boil, flame out, all that. But we do dry hop coffee and then and inject liquid coffee. Pardon me, we don't actually dry hop coffee. We add cold brew to the keg while we're kegging. I've never added tinctures. Seems to be a popular way for people to inject concentrated flavor into a batch to get the result they want. Do you have any experience with adding flavors post primary?
I don't. Did a little research on this question, and I would suggest a wonderful resource is byo.com. If you go there, tincture basically is just an extract of whatever you're wanting to add to your beer. And it soaks the alcohol, pulls those flavors through. So I don't see a reason why you couldn't use Everclear or vodka. You want a neutral spirit, and both of those are that. So you just want but the thing that they were very specific about is you just want enough to cover. You want to put it in a little bag, like a little hot bag. You want just enough spirits to cover those spices or whatever you're using. And then when 30 minutes, an hour, hour and a half, just long enough for those the essence of that to soak into the alcohol. And then you just pour the alcohol off. But like I said, there's an excellent article about it in byo.com. Just pull up tincture under search, and it gives you a step-by-step, and it tells the thing that I like about BYO, and that's always my go-to. Not all the articles you can see. You have to have a electronic subscription, but they got a lot of good information from multiple people, and it's proven. Like if you're researching a specific style of beer, they're a wonderful resource. In fact, I would suggest if you get an electronic subscription to anything related to homebrew, go to byo.com because they back up every style with a good recipe, both extract and all grain. And I just love these guys. They know what they're doing. They're pros. They're not going to steer you wrong. So I would suggest to do that because I'm not the best person to ask about that because I've actually never done any of those. I'm a German Heinzgebot guy, and they don't allow that.
Yeah,
so that's my get out of this question.
What? No, because I want to drag it out. No. What tinctures are you using in your Pilsner, James? What are you talking about? I like that you're plugging BYO because I love those guys. Keith there. We ran into him. I think you saw him at HomebrewCon, right? I got to talk to him for a while.
I don't think I saw him.
He's in sales, wonderful people. But you've been evangelizing for him for what, 15 years? Or when did you first get into BYO? I mean, it was like very early in your brewing.
I guess it was when I first started working for Todd, and he was like, "James, you're going to make some recipes for our homebrew store," and I was like, I'm out of my element on that. So I took a crash course on how to curate recipes. The cool thing about it is Todd would allow me to brew those recipes, and because you would taste some good and some not so much. So that's how we kind of got into me doing the recipes.
Now, another question, because I want to remind people I'm such a good person. I got you a subscription, but I did it through a discount site, so it's not like I spent a lot of money. But does that subscription to BYO give you online access, or did it not?
It doesn't. It just gives me the magazine.
I'm gonna reach out to them.
Hey, I like the magazine. I tell you what, I really appreciate that. It makes me feel bad because I don't think I got you anything for Christmas.
You got me beer? What are you talking about?
But that BYO.com, that BYO magazine is wonderful. I love that, reading that, because I have a hard copy, a file that I can put back if I see something I like.
What I really like the most, though, about all of this, so I'm digressing, but it's funny. Just stay with me, friends.
Yeah.
2 weeks before I'd ordered y'all stuff, because I got you a subscription and I got Todd one too, Texas Monthly. Like a week or two before. This is like November, right before Thanksgiving. You were like, dude, did you get me a GQ magazine subscription? And I was like, what? And you're like, and you still think I did it. That's the best part. But you're like, somebody got me this GQ. I don't like this magazine. And I was like, that's hilarious. I wish, I think I'm pretty witty and handsome and smart.
I think somebody's trying to tell me something. It might have been an ex-girlfriend.
Well, either way, I want to thank whoever got you that, because it was like, I was like, a magazine subscription for one that you would actually like is very thoughtful. So that's when
it is.
Yeah. And like I said, discountmads.com has, like, I think BYO, which again, I've been buttering BYO up, and they're like, no, just tell them to come to us direct because we don't make any money as it is. But I was just saying, I used like Discount Mads. It was very affordable. I think it was.
Well, I appreciate the gesture. I really do.
Oh, dude. You love it.
Honestly, last Christmas, I think that was the only Christmas present I got.
No way. Hey,
that's true. Yeah.
Good guy,
So thank you.
Yeah. Well, you've literally, I know Zach, we'll wrap up your question. I promise. It's not an infomercial for BYO. They don't give us money. They've never given us money.
Yeah, they don't.
They should give us money. Keith, what are you doing? Advertise on the show. But you literally have taught and held them in the highest regard since I've met you. Like, you've always been like,
they're a great resource. They really are.
Yeah. So this isn't like this is kind of like all of our other sponsors we've ever had, where we've buttered them up for years and then they decide to sponsor. So maybe, Keith, we'll talk to you in 2026 and you'll be a sponsor of the show.
But there are a couple of things I want to add to that just makes common sense to me. Is the reason why you only put just enough to cover what you're trying to pull the essence out of is because you're going to decant those whatever you put in the alcohol. You're going to remove that, and then the alcohol goes in the beer. So you don't want to. Everclear is quite a bit stouter than vodka, so you're going to raise the ABV, and you could create a different profile as far as flavor and body. So just be careful on that. Don't go overboard. Probably the reason why a lot of people use vodka over Everclear is the basic fact that it's so much more potent. It's got so much more alcohol.
Yeah.
Just be careful. And then also, when you're putting the alcohol into the beer, the tincture, make sure you don't oxidize it. Find a way of getting one good option is to take a sanitized funnel with a little longer spout. Put that into the keg where you can see the end of the spout is into the liquid. And then slowly pour that alcohol down the side of that funnel so it flows into the funnel, and then you can lift it up. You don't get oxidation. Everything's happy. Doesn't take a lot of splash to cause that cardboard taste. So
I was going to say,
and the things to think about.
Yeah, and the two things to emphasize what you just said: sterilized siphon or a funnel. Pardon me. And like,
well, a lot of people are going to say, James, the vodka and Everclear is going to sterilize it when you pour it through the.
Well, okay.
But I like being consistent, so it makes me feel better, even though there's alcohol in the beer, because I'm assuming you're going to add it after fermentation. So, you got alcohol in the beer, you got really strong alcohol in the funnel. So there's probably little chance that you would ever get an infection. If it got infected with that kind, then you probably don't want to drink it.
Yeah, no, that's a great point. And Zach, that's a great question. We appreciate you sending it. A reminder, when y'all send a voicemail, and we need more, to 325-305-6107, you get yourself a $25 gift card courtesy of the absent, but still working allegedly, Mr. Todd Burns. So thank you, Zach, for that question. Our second question came from our buddy Joseph R. from Oklahoma using the submission form at homebrewhappyhour.com. And Joseph wrote, "Hello, Josh and crew. I have a question about your powdered cleaner from Keg Connection." He's talking about Brew Clean. Is it still effective when using lukewarm or even cold water? I used it recently with lukewarm water because I didn't want to wait for my water heater to refill, and I noticed a clump of white substance at the bottom of my keg after letting it soak for over an hour. It was only a small amount, but this is the first time I've seen this, and now I'm concerned that my water might have been too cold and the detergent didn't fully clean the keg. I always rinse afterwards, so it wasn't an issue getting the clump out of the keg. Still, I'm thinking I need to start over and totally re-soak this keg with very hot water. What do you fellas think? The podcast is a highlight of my week. Best wishes from Oklahoma, Joe. Joe, that's a great question. I will say on the instructions, it does say get the water hot. I do believe for it to fully dissolve and be the most effective, you want that water as hot as your water heater is spitting out. And most hot water heaters in a residential home can support at least a keg's worth of very, very hot water. And then you're only using 2 tablespoons for that one keg, so it should dissolve pretty easy. James, I've seen what he's talking about, and it's usually when I'm using either too much Brew Clean or
it's usually my case. Right? This 2 tablespoons is good. 4 is even better, right?
That's what I say. Exactly.
And at some point, it just can't dissolve. It's too high concentration. But from the previous question, why couldn't you do a tincture of a Brew Clean? So take a quart, get it on the stove, and get it super hot, or maybe even boiling. Then stir in a couple teaspoons, stir it up. It should dissolve real good, and then you can add that into the keg or a bottle or whatever you need. In a keg, you don't have to worry about cooling it down. But if you're going to put it in like a spray bottle and use it as a surface cleaner, you probably want to cool it down with a little cold tap water before you put it in the bottle, because 2 tablespoons will do 5 gallons. Yeah. So you can mix. You can either make it super concentrated or bring that down to a teaspoon or half a teaspoon, and do it that way for a surface cleaner. Or if you're doing kegs, just boil some quart of water on the stove. Yeah. Stir that in. It'll dissolve if it's super hot.
It will.
And then pour that in the keg, and then you can go ahead and you can reuse it because it's fully dissolved.
That's brilliant. Well, and that's how we, again, I was washing kegs. I want everyone to remember I do manual labor twice a year.
You did.
And I did, the process of filling up, for conversation's sake, filling up 5 at a time. I think I did 8 at a time because that's what the water heater will support there at the office. And that water, out because it's so hot and it's fully dissolved, I can now take that after an hour of soaking, and I do half in the next keg and then the other half in another for the new line of kegs getting washed, and then top off. And now I'm basically doubling. It's like my own little pyramid scheme. I
meant to tell you when you were washing kegs that you did know the cold side of the tap water is 92 degrees here.
No, no, was it really? That's hilarious. Oh, maybe I was using the cold side the whole time. I didn't know.
I measured it the other day. It was 92 degrees. That's how hot it is in Texas, guys. Our tap water on the cold side is 92 degrees.
I can't. How do people?
So there's no cold showers here.
No, at the barn there definitely wasn't. Oh my God. But the essence of Joe's question: does the clump imply that keg did not get cleaned during that process, or does the
not necessarily? I think that unless you've got a super heavy built up keg and you need that kind of concentration of soap, I think you're fine. I think you're just fine.
That's what
you're still going to have to go back and sanitize it.
You're gonna rinse it out and you're gonna sanitize it anyway. And if you're looking, I mean, this is for Joe's scenario. I would suspect this is, it's contextual. There is no right answer, or there's no one answer, because you look at, you see the clump after you dump it, you rinse it out, visually inspect, Joe, to make sure, there's no more grime and all that. Because what Brew Clean's really good at especially when you're using a keg over and over for beer. And if you develop beer stone, man, Brew Clean's really good at getting that out. Or like for me, with my water being so hard, I don't use RO for my soda water, my sparkling water, or kombucha sometimes leaves slime behind or whatever. Brew Clean is so good at getting those deposits off the steel and really, cleaning out the keg. If you look in there, Joe, and you're like, oh, you would know the water was, I mean, it would have to be cold water. And even then, I think it would still clean it. It may not be as good as if it was really hot, if you're trying to get grime off. But I mean, I don't want to be pedantic like a German and argue the meaning of words, but I think his keg is still clean, right? I mean,
yeah. I mean, you can also feel it in your hands in the water. You can feel the detergents. So even though it didn't completely dissolve, I'm fairly confident there's enough detergent mixed and dissolved into the water that you're just fine.
I agree. And I think you and I would both agree that best practices are to use as hot of water as you can for the cleaner you are trying to get that keg. As in,
well, what it's going to do is it's going to completely dissolve that soap into the water.
Yes.
And it takes I'd say, I've used warm. My hot water heater at the house is 120 degrees, which a lot of people would say that's too hot for hot water. But it's my house. I
do what
put whatever I want on the thermostat on the hot water heater. But that seems to work just fine for cleaning kegs and dissolving Brew Clean. So that's what I do.
Yeah, that's perfect.
Anything over 100, I think you're fine.
I agree. Absolutely. But if you are listening to this and you go, whether you're using, powdered cleansers, we're talking Brew Clean because that's what he was talking about. But there's obviously PBW and what else does Logic make? One Step.
I'll tell you what I used to use years ago before I didn't even know there was cleaners out there. I used dishwashing detergent.
No kidding. And that worked.
I did.
And that worked fine. The powdered dishwashing.
Not hand, but like dishwashing machine powder.
Yeah, the powder. Yeah.
And because it doesn't foam and it seems to work pretty darn good. If you use regular Dawn, you can, but if you get down in there and start scrubbing around, it's going to foam like crazy. And it's got the one thing that I liked using that for is it didn't have any fragrance in it. It was now some of them do. If you see a lemon on the front, and let's say you run out of Brew Clean and you're like, oh, what am I going to do? Just go down to the dollar store and just get some generic dishwashing detergent, automatic dishwashing detergent, the powder.
Yeah.
And you should be fine.
And people
never tried the liquid. Just make sure it's unscented.
People use OxyClean too a lot.
I
always thought OxyClean was more expensive, but people swear by it.
I don't know. I'm always leery about it possibly damaging stainless steel, but I don't know if it's safe, stainless steel safe or not. But
yeah, people online swear by it. I appreciate about the Brew Clean, let me go back into infomercial mode. People love that. I get good feedback on that in my email, never hateful or making fun of me.
Along with those long intros, right?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Pierce, pardon me, y'all don't all know Pierce. Todd's father is a retired chemical engineer in his 80s, and he worked, this was 13 or 12 years ago, because I'd been with the company for maybe a couple years, but he worked with another chemical company to come up with the formula specifically for beer related stuff like beer stone and the issues that brewers would have with their equipment and things. So that's why I've been using Brew Clean for over a decade because of availability, but also because of effectiveness. We had PBW that we use and it works great. I have no problem with the 5-star people. One time I think they snubbed me at a HomebrewCon, but I was wearing a CM Becker shirt.
I was there. They did. They snubbed both of us.
They snubbed us. I was like, "Hi, ladies." And I'm like, "What?" People either love me or they hate me. There's no middle ground. I know.
Well, yeah. To be fair, you're the one that offered them a sample, and they had
did I do that? Yeah.
Oh. Yes, you did that.
Oh, okay. Well,
and they said no.
They don't realize I'm stupid. I didn't look at their shirt. You know how?
No, I think you were kind of nicely trolling them.
I could have been. That's true. I don't.
I think it was a great move. I was impressed.
I don't remember the
I think they were too because they kind of laughed about it.
I do remember that. Because they did. The lady did. She pointed to to the thing. And I was like, well, ma'am, my eyes are up here. Okay. So anyway, I didn't actually say that. I'm lying. But Joseph, thank you so much for submitting the question. James, I got one more question from us. It's another submission through HomebrewHappyHour.com. It comes from our buddy Steve W. And he wrote, hey, Joshua, Steve, in his last name, from Chub Club here. Thank you so much for the welcome pack. I love the shirt. I also have a question for you, and I'm hoping to get some of Todd's money to put towards a keg or two. My people. I bought a soda carbonating cap from you last week, and it just arrived. I plan on carbonating water in 2-liter bottles. Would you carbonate in a soda bottle the same way you force carbonate in a keg? Would you suggest using a new bottle every time? I'm unaware of any potential risk using the same bottle over and over, but like you, I'd like to avoid explosions. It looks like you all had a fun time in San Diego. Thank you for taking the time to help me, Steve. This is where Todd all week was talking about being back on the show. Like, I'm tired of you not having us on the show. I was like, I know, I'm sorry. I pre-recorded that stuff. I'm sorry. This is a Todd question, if there's ever been one, because he would talk about how he always likes to use the soda cap and get me to be right there and shake it in my face really violently at 35 PSI in the thinnest wall 2-liter bottle he can find, and then reuse it over and over again just to be a jerk. But to answer the question, I'll start it. The soda carbonating cap on a 2-liter bottle, are there 2-liter bottles out there, James, you can think of that you would say stay away from? Like, would you suggest at least getting a 2-liter bottle of a carbonated beverage if you're going to
That's a very key point. Guys listening, guys and gals, sorry, it's a Texas thing. This is very important. The composition of most water bottles, you can feel it in your hand when you crunch them. They're super thin. They are not designed for high pressure. The only time that you should ever use or reuse a plastic bottle is if it had previously had soda in it. I've carbonated beverage. Doesn't matter whether it's Mountain Dew, Coca-Cola, Sam's, Pride, whatever. It's got to be a bottle that originally had a carbonated beverage in it. Don't use a water bottle. Now, I don't think I've ever seen a 2-liter water bottle, but I have the little 20-ounce and the 12-ounce. So be super wary of that. But I mean, I would probably cut the time down to maybe a couple of minutes at 30 PSI and just taste it. But Josh, you're really good at you've been doing sparkling water forever
in a keg, and I will say that watching Todd, and I don't ever know how much of him doing it in front of me is to scare me or him actually do, because he has a Topo Chico clone on tap, but he also has a 2-liter bottle in his beer fridge with the cap art still on it that he uses just in case he runs out, because lately we've been making mojitos, we've been making gin and soda, vodka soda, all your favorite drinks, James.
Pass.
Yeah, that's a lie. It is not James's favorite drinks. But with the keg, I do the forced carbonating method at 40, and I shake it for a minute, and I leave it on 40 because I like that carbonic bite. On a 2-liter soda bottle, I've never done it, but I know the instructions do say to do it for 30 seconds to a minute at like 30 to 40. And then, take it off and then shake it, and then you're good to go. You unscrew it when you want to use it and consume it, and it should be good to go. I would say some tips, much like beer, the colder your beverage is, the easier and quicker infusion, is that the word for the CO2?
It'll dissolve. So it dissolves easier at colder temperatures, and it breaks out at warmer temperatures. So it's really hard to carbonate a beverage at room temp. It's harder than if it's cold.
You will notice too what I've found interesting this year. So we do fulfillment for some companies, and we also have been running some ad campaigns. Soda carbonating kits, James, have been flying off the shelf for
they really have
several months. And what I suspect, I actually sold one to a guy over the phone, because I did have to answer phones yesterday. It was terrible. But answering phones, I helped sell this guy, and he told me, he said he'd been using a what's the company name? SodaStream. He'd been using a SodaStream, and he was just tired, because I guess there are mechanisms to modify it if you don't want to keep buying their like proprietary canisters. But he was like, it was becoming a pain in the butt, and he realized, I could either do it on my own, and so he got a kit with a 5-pound cylinder, and he's doing it with 2 liter, but he's making space for a keg. He's going to buy a keg from us soon once he gets clearance from his wife and makes more space in a garage fridge, because he realized, like, why wouldn't I just do a 5-gallon batch of water? And that will last him, at least a week or two, depending on how much soda you're drinking. It should probably, for one person drinking it, 10 days on average, 2 weeks. But you're doing a 2-liter bottle. Oh my God, you're carbonating every other day. Which brings me to we did talk about the main point being, choose a bottle that's been used for carbonated beverage. Is there degradation of a bottle that you'd say, man, like with stainless steel kegs, there is, like, that stuff's not forever, but damn near forever. Is that plastic? Is there a limit to where you go?
But technically there is, there's fatigue. The molecules can fatigue and can actually, so I wouldn't keep one for very long. If you do happen to drink soda water or Coke or whatever it is, just rotate those out fairly regular. You don't want to keep one forever, because you just never know. When it pops, I'm not going to say it's going to explode into little fractional pieces. It's probably just going to split down the side, make a mess. But just to be safe, rotate that out every several months. It depends on how often you use it and how much PSI you use to carbonate. If you're doing like beer levels of carbonation, I think you're a little safer than if you're doing. So there's a big difference between carbonation levels for beer and for soda and cola or whatever.
Yep.
I mean, you're talking double the amount of carbonation. That anybody that just go to a grocery store and pick up a soda bottle and push on it.
Yeah,
it's solid as a rock for the most part.
Yeah,
and then if you take like beer, you can push that in just a little bit, and it's not near as firm as. And that's because the ratio, or the, what do they call it? Anyway, the levels of CO2 dissolved into beer is a lower amount than volumes of CO2. That's what I'm trying to say. Sorry, guys, I can't talk. But volumes of CO2 in sodas is probably double that of beer, or close to it. So there's a big difference. But just rotate them out, you'll be fine. It won't cost a lot of money.
It won't. And again, sales hat. Hold on, let me put it on. Get a keg system. That's what you should do.
Yeah. If you get tired of doing that, just order a 5-gallon or 2.5 gallon keg from kegconnection.com.
I use the 2.5 for my kombucha. Although I do have a 5-gallon batch fermenting. I'm working. I think I've told you. We may have talked about it on the show. There's a coffee shop here in town. I've become friends with the owner, and I think I'm going to take this recent batch to him because he wants to start doing kombucha on draft. I'm going to teach him how to do it and all that fun stuff.
Cool.
But doing a 3-gallon batch of kombucha, and I keep a 0.5 gallon for my next starter, and kegging 2 has been perfect. And the 2.5 fits comfortably in most fridges, and I use an event faucet and all that. But and I'm only saying that not just to be a salesman, but logistically, I think like someone like Steve, if you're going through sparkling water or whatever you're carbonating, he is doing water, you're gonna find like, oh my God, I feel like I'm doing this every other day, and it gets tedious. It's still
it probably would get old after a while.
It would, and it's still though, because I did talk to Steve after he joined Chub Club. He is also a man of time efficiency. What's the word I use for us cheapskates that are lazy? Like I love Topo Chico, but they have gone up on price so much I cannot justify buying Topo Chico anymore. I can't. And so making it basically, well, Todd literally makes it. He does your method you talked about for the brew clean. He dissolves it in hot water and then mixes it in a thing of cold water, so it's all dissolved, all the minerals. Because before he was doing it only in cold water, and they were just falling to the bottom, and it wasn't.
Yeah, it wasn't dissolving.
Wasn't dissolving. But he does that now, lets it chill for a day, and then carbonates it, and boom, we're drinking very, very close Topo Chico. I don't even add the salts. I just do water. And I'm doing San Marcos tap water. My father-in-law and I, the next few weekends, are installing an RO system finally. So I will be using RO water for brewing and all that. But I've been buying RO water for the brewing, but for my sparkling water too, I'll have it. But my point being, I think people get into kegging, like we learned at HomebrewCon after the seminar, people coming up to us, because it becomes tedious to bottle every batch, or in this case, doing
absolutely.
It's so tedious. It's is it 53 bottles, or how many is a 5-gallon batch? It's like
52, 53, something like that.
That's so many to clean, and ew. But either way, I the only thing I remember from that seminar is I was chatty. But Steve, thank you so much for submitting that question. Mr. Carlson, I appreciate your time. That's all I've got for this week, my friend. And I hope I've been seeing Todd messaging us about the shipment. I certainly hope my friend doesn't come tomorrow. I hope that it waits till Monday. And then we can get the kits out, and I'm not going to come up there tomorrow anyway. So if it comes Monday, I could be there and at least help. But anyways, thank you so much, my friend, for your time. And
you bet.
Have a good weekend. I'll talk to you soon.
See ya.
And that will do it for this episode of the Homebrew Happy Hour. If you have a question you'd like us to discuss on a future episode, go to homebrewhappyhour.com and click the submit a question link at the top of the page, or you can call. You can leave a voicemail. You can be Todd's best friend at 325-305-6107. Thank you to our sponsors like Munton's Malt, premium grains for a better brew day. If you aren't already brewing with Munton Malt, give them a try by joining our Trub Club at a recipe receiving level. For the best hops available online, give our friends at hopsdirect.com a visit and pick up what you need for your next brew day. Also, get a pack of Imperial yeast along with premium recipes from us, again, when you join the Trub Club. So go to patreon.com/homebrew happy hour and come brew with us. On behalf of Todd Burns, James Carlson, and the Pearl Media Network, I'm Joshua Stubing. Thanks for listening.